Hello, this is Thad Hall with Forrest Marsh Group. In this video, we'll be reviewing Section A of the Election Administration and Voting Survey. Section A covers voter registration. Before we begin, it will be helpful for you to have two documents. First, a copy of the Election Administration and Voting Survey instrument, and second, a copy of the supplemental instruction manual that accompanies the survey. So what is in Section A? Section A covers four main issues related to voter registration. First, you'll be reporting the total number of registrations you had for the 2016 general election. Second, the source of all registrations received between the 2014 and 2016 elections. Third, the disposition of these registration applications that were received between 2014 and 2016. And finally, the number of people who were sent notices to confirm their registration and the number who were removed from the rolls. So question A1A is asking how many people were registered to vote for the 2016 general election. For this question, you should include the total number of registrants you had. So anyone who registered to vote through the close of the voter registration rolls for the election would be included, including any election day voter registrants if you have election day voter registration. You do not want to include, though, any pre-registrations or people who registered late who were not eligible to vote in the 2016 election. Some states differentiate between active and inactive voters in their voter registry. So question A1A should have included everyone who's in your voter registry. This would include both active and inactive voters. If you differentiate between active and inactive voters, you should note this in question A2. And then for question A3, you would unpack that and report for question A3A the number of active voters you have, and for A3B the number of inactive voters you have. A3A and A3B will total A1A. For question A4B, you should just say if your state allows anyone to register and then vote using same-day registration. For question A4A, you'll report the number of people who were same-day registrants if your state has same-day voter registration. Select non-applicable if your state does not have same-day voter registration. So question A5 and some of the subsequent questions are asking about a very specific time period, and this time period is from the close of voter registration for the 2014 general election through the close of voter registration for the 2016 general election. So let me give you an example. Imagine you're a state with a voter registration deadline of 15 days before the election. For question A5A and the subsequent questions in the section that relate to the 2014 to 2016 period, you would want to report all forms or registrations that were received 14 days before the 2014 general election through 15 days prior to the 2016 general election. People register to vote for a variety of reasons. And questions A5B through A5L are asking you to categorize the types of registrations you received. In some cases, you're receiving new registration forms. Some people will submit duplicate registrations, forgetting that they're already registered. Some people are filing a form just because they're changing their name, changing their party affiliation, or changing their address. And of course, some of these registrations will be invalid or rejected. So for questions A5B through A5L, you'll report a breakdown of the total registrations you reported in A5A. So people can register to vote in a variety of ways. And so this next question is going to get at the source of registrations. So for instance, people may complete a form at the DMV. They may complete a form at a public assistance office. They may be asked to complete a form as a part of a political party or advocacy group registration drive. And people, today are often completing online voter registration forms. And of course, the traditional way that people have registered has often been by mail, email, or fax. So for each source of registration, questions A6, A7, A8, and A9 we're going to be asking about the total number of forms you received from each of these sources that we just discussed, And then it's going to be asking you to report, were these new registrations, were they duplicate registrations, or were they invalid registrations? And you can understand why this would be important to understand, for instance, especially where are duplicate registrations coming from, how are there shifts in registration from, for instance, mail forms to now online portals. This question allows the EAC to examine those issues. Now, one of the key issues involved in voter registration is making sure that voter registration lists are accurate. And one way of doing this is through following the confirmation of registration notice process that is laid out in the National Voter Registration Act. And under this policy, there's a process for removing a person from the voter registration list. You need to have a change of address indication plus a subsequent failure to respond to a specific forwardable confirmation mailing, and the failure to appear to vote during the period ending after the second federal general election subsequent to sending the confirmation notice. So for question A10, you're going to be reporting how many confirmation notices did you send out between the 2014 and 2016 election using the same time frame we've discussed previously. And for each notice sent out, you should classify it as though it was returned confirming registration, that it was returned confirming invalidation, that it was returned undeliverable, or the status is unknown. You have options from A10B through A10H, and these should total back to A10A. A10A is the total number of forms that were sent out. So finally, in A11A, you'll report the number of individuals who were removed from the registration rolls. And from A11B through A11K, you'll report why they were removed. So, did they move outside of your jurisdiction? Did they die and are listed on a death registry? Were they convicted of a felony and lost their eligibility to be a voter? And again, for A11B through A11K, this should total up to A11A. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Most questions about the EAVS can be answered using the Supplemental Instruction Manual. However, if you need additional assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us at EAVS@forestmarshgroup.com. If you email us there, somebody will be back with you within 24 hours to answer any questions that you have. Thank you, and we appreciate your time.